Hi guys, welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Tom.
It's our all English unit. So we can't speak any other language. Sometimes it slips out with us, but we won't have a Chinese teacher today. But we're going to learn about some things that have been in the news. We've got a Swiss hotel. Swiss, of course, is the adjective used for people or things that are from the country of Switzerland, which I think is beautiful. And they're coming up with this very interesting hotel. And the headline says that the Swiss hotel provides entirely new experience. So we're going to learn about that, what they're doing there that's really different from other hotels. And what's our second story, Tom?
The second story is about a road that can actually charge vehicles as they drive over it, especially if you're driving electric vehicles. But it's very expensive, as we're going to find out. And we'll find out more information about these two news stories as our lesson continues. So what we do first in our News Watch unit is we read through those articles first, and then we come back to discuss them. Let's go.
Swiss hotel provides entirely new experience. A hotel in Sion, Switzerland, is giving its guests a completely different accommodation experience. A typical hotel wants people to have a relaxing night, but the idea of the Noel Stern zero-star hotel is for guests to contemplate the state of the world. The hotel consists of a single room, though room is inaccurate as it lacks walls, a ceiling, and a door. Instead, there's only a bed and a few closets, and it's built near a gas station next to a busy road intersection. The bright lights, loud noises, and odor of gasoline will ensure a sleepless night. Perfect for thinking. Noel Stern is a creation of conceptual artists Frank and Patrick Ricklin. The Swiss-born twins have designed similar hotels in gorgeous natural locations, such as the Swiss Alps. This latest installation, however, is intended to encourage reflection on global issues like climate change, equality, and security. The brothers hope people think about what these concepts mean, saying, "In view of the current world situation, there is no time to sleep."
New road technology brings new charging options for electric cars. A new road on the Swedish island of Gotland is able to fully charge an electric bus as it drives along it. The new road technology aims to counter one of the biggest disadvantages of electric vehicles, the need to charge them at fixed charging stations. The entire 1.6-kilometer road acts like a wireless charger as power is transferred from copper coils beneath the road's surface to 3 receivers installed under the bus. This means the bus can be charged without it having to stop or even slow down. What's more, test runs have shown that neither the driver nor the passengers suffer any ill effects from the process. A road utilizing similar technology has also been built in Italy, but owners of electric cars are unlikely to encounter such convenient charging options everywhere. The technology is prohibitively expensive and would not be viable on large roads such as highways. Instead, the companies are hoping to add it to roads where people drive along fixed routes for a consistent distance, like at airports or harbors.
Okay, guys, let's get going on our first story. The headline reads, Swiss hotel provides entirely new experience. I just want to say for the record, this hotel sounds like a real drag. I would never stay in a place like this. I think life is stressful enough. I don't need more stress. But we've got two gentlemen who think we need more stress and who think a lot of people don't know what's happening around the world. I think it's pretty clear our world's a little bit crazy.
Well, of course, people like to travel and people like to bring back new stories that people haven't heard before. So
new experiences, huh?
Exactly. So if you can tell all your friends that you stayed at this hotel in Sion, Switzerland, hey, they're going to be very impressed with you. They will feel inferior to you. And, of course, you'll have face as a result of that.
Do you know what I would say to a friend who came back and said they stayed at this kind of hotel? I would say, you're a sucker. You're a sucker to pay money for this.
One, yeah. They saw you coming. I can hear my mom say that. Boy, they know how to sucker you. But in any case, this is our first news story here. And again, all news story titles don't run as a full sentence in the same way that you have news story titles in Chinese as well. It's not a complete sentence. It just gives you basic information. So basically, there's a hotel in Switzerland that will provide you with a totally or entirely new experience. Now, a hotel in Sion, Switzerland is giving its guests a completely different accommodation experience. Accommodation just refers to when you find a place to stay. To accommodate means to take care of something or to contain something. I could say that this van accommodates 6 people comfortably. But in this particular case, if you talk about accommodations, that's talking about where you're staying. Are you staying at a hotel, a youth hostel, or wherever?
So a typical hotel wants people to have a relaxing night. You know, just to kick back, relax, not feel any sort of stress, have wonderful service offered to you. That's what a typical hotel wants people to experience. But the idea of what they're calling the Null Stern Hotel, otherwise known as 0 star, is for guests to contemplate the state of the world. If you contemplate something, you usually find a very quiet place and you sit back and you relax and you think deep thoughts. You know, what's my life about? What do I want to accomplish? You know, do I want to change anything? Where am I going from here? Am I enjoying my job and my friends? And, you know, you think deeply about life. Here they want you to contemplate the state of the world. And because the state of the world right now is a mess, I would say it's not something that you want to do if you want to relax.
Right. But again, as I said, this might be an experience that's different to your usual experiences. So it might be something good for you or, again, to brag about with your friends. Or, indeed, you're probably not going to contemplate the state of the world because it does sound kind of noisy, and you're not going to have the greatest stay there. Let's describe this hotel. The hotel consists of a single room, though room is inaccurate as it lacks walls, a ceiling, and a door. So that's what the definition of a room is, an area that has walls and a ceiling and a floor and a door, sometimes windows. But in this particular case, this room doesn't have those things. It does not have walls. It lacks walls. It does not have a ceiling, and it does not have a door. Now, in this sentence, we have the verb phrase to consist of, and that just means to include these things. It has these things that are included to complete the total of that thing. So it has a single room. It includes a single room. It consists of a single room. But again, it's not really a room. How can it be a room without a wall, without walls, or a ceiling, or a floor? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I would say that's not much of a room. But it does have a floor, Tom. Don't worry. They do give you a floor, but they don't give you any walls or a ceiling. And a door, there's no privacy. I need a door, I'm sorry. So when we use those quotation marks, it just means we're calling it this, but it's really not what we're used to defining as a room. So what do they give you? Well, they do give you a bed and a few closets. I guess, they expect you to bring a lot of clothes with you. I don't know. And it's built near a gas station next to a busy road intersection. Now, that's one of the things I try to avoid if I'm staying in a hotel. I want to be away from busy roads because they make noise all night long. And I'm what you'd call a light sleeper. It's very easy to wake me up. So I want to find a place that's kind of quiet away from those big roads. This is a busy road intersection. So the bright lights, loud noises, and odor of gasoline will ensure or make sure a sleepless night, that you experience what we're calling a sleepless night, which is perfect for thinking according to our strange artists, I must say. Odor is a word we use when we're talking about a bad smell. Do not call someone's perfume or a guy's cologne. Don't say it has a strange odor. Odor is only used for bad smells. And hopefully people's perfumes and colognes have a nice smell. They're fragrant, or they smell delightful. Here we've got the odor of gasoline. I don't like that smell because it makes me nervous. I'm afraid if someone drops a match, we're going to have an explosion. So that would be a night that I would be worrying about, ending up in a fire.
Exactly. So yes, you'll have the odor of gasoline. That does not smell well. I used to work in a gas station myself, and every time I got off work, I had the odor of gasoline, or I smelled like gasoline.
Oh, so yeah, sure.
I would need to take a shower. And yes, indeed, all of these things will ensure, or they will guarantee, a sleepless night. Perfect for thinking. They're being kind of ironic here, kind of sarcastic. You certainly are not going to be able to think straight in this kind of situation. You've got loud noises, bright lights, the odor of gasoline. Yes, indeed, they will guarantee that you have a sleepless night, which, as in the sarcastic sense here, it's perfect for thinking. Yeah, if you want to do some thinking, why don't you do this?
So here we're moving on to the next paragraph. It says, Noel Stern is a creation of conceptual artists Frank and Patrick Ricklin. They're brothers, it looks like. They have the same last name, and they're both men's names. So a creation is something that somebody creates or makes for the first time that never existed before. It's kind of their own idea. It comes from their own imagination. And they're conceptual artists. What is a conceptual artist, though, Tom?
They work with concepts. So, of course, they have different kinds of projects that they do. They may not be conventional paintings or sculptures or things like that.
They have, like, themes or something,
Yeah, they have a
right?
big theme, and it will be very unusual. If you go to modern art museums or, say, MoCA here in Taipei, the Museum of Contemporary Art, you'll see a lot of conceptual art there, things that go beyond just the traditional paintings and sculptures and stuff like that. They have a sort of theme.
They have a message.
And I suppose you could consider this hotel as a kind of conceptual art where you kind of sleep outside next to an intersection smelling gasoline and stuff like that. Interesting idea. And of course, anything that somebody creates is a creation, which is often used in the arts, but it could be used in business as well. Many business executives have great creations for investing money for their clients.
Yeah, they do. So this is their brilliant idea. So they just they want to communicate something through their art. And I remember when I used to look at sculptures or paintings, usually the message wasn't that bizarre. This is very bizarre to me. Very different. So they're Swiss-born and they're twins. Look at that. That's fun. So they've designed similar hotels. Again, we're using the quotation marks because these aren't what we usually define as hotels. But we're using that word anyway. And they've designed them to be in gorgeous natural locations, such as the Swiss Alps, that beautiful mountain range. They're lucky to live near the Swiss Alps. They're really beautiful. Now, we're calling this piece of art, this hotel, their latest installation. Installation usually refers to installing something, like maybe you want a new connection to Wi-Fi or to cable. So they'll come to your house and they'll install it. That's an installation. But here we'll often use it to talk about art that moves. It's three-dimensional. It's not just flat or 2D. We call that kinetic art that moves. And this is a word you'll often see used by artists.
Right, they actually build the work in the museum itself, and so it doesn't move from museum to museum because it just can't work that way. So yes, an installation piece is something that is built right on the site there, and it stays there.
Isn't Guting the MRT station that has the fish and the art that's hanging from the ceiling?
Possibly. I guess you consider
that would be installation art.
Installation art because it was built right there. You cannot move that to another museum. It's unique to that location. And yes, indeed, this is a work of installation art. So this latest installation, however, is intended to encourage reflection on global issues like climate change, equality, and security. So if you stay in this place, you will think about climate change because it's maybe caused by gas-burning vehicles. You'll think about equality. Maybe people who are homeless have to live outside next to gas stations and stuff like that. And also security. If you stay in such a place, you're not going to feel safe at all. And the brothers hope people think about what these concepts mean, saying, in view of the current world situation, or when we consider the situation of the world now, there is no time to sleep. Interesting idea, and that brings us to the midpoint in our lesson for today. Let's take a break right now, but stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, guys, we're going to move on to story number 2. The headline reads, New road technology brings new charging options for electric cars. Yeah, we've seen how America, at least, isn't ready for many electric cars. We don't have enough charging stations, and it takes too long. And anyway, we don't want to move ahead too fast. We've got to create that infrastructure if we are going to use electric cars in the future. So we've got a new road on the Swedish island of Gotland. I don't speak Swedish, so they may have a different pronunciation of this particular island. I've never heard of this island, actually, but this new road is able to fully charge an electric bus as it drives along it. So then it wouldn't have to stop, maybe get in line to use some of the charging stations. It could just charge as it drives along.
That sounds similar to devices used to charge phones.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to connect them directly to the charger. You just have the phone next to it or on it, and it charges the phone through the air. And I suppose that's how this works as well. Now, the new road technology aims to counter one of the biggest disadvantages of electric vehicles, the need to charge them at fixed charging stations. So that's a big problem. We want to counter something. This is a verb here, to counter, which means to sort of balance things out. We've got a problem here, so we need to compensate for that problem in another area. So that's one of the big problems of electric vehicles. And indeed, you got to charge them. And if you've ever driven an electric car or ridden an electric scooter, you know that charging can be difficult. I understand that Gogoro scooters or other electric scooters have the problem of, you can exchange batteries, but sometimes there are not really any fully charged batteries available. Some of the batteries are only half charged, so you're going to have to change again pretty soon.
Yeah, so the new road technology aims to counter one of the biggest disadvantages of electric vehicles. What's that? The need to charge them so much. And we don't have enough fixed, which means something is stable and you can't move it. Fixed charging stations, there just aren't enough. If you counter something, you actually put forth another idea that's different. You might counter someone's offer to buy your car with a lower price. Maybe they want to pay you $20,000 and you say, well, I'll take 22. I'm not going lower. 22,000. So you can counter things. Here we're countering one of the disadvantages. So if you were going to counter something negative, you would offer something more positive.
Exactly. So, yeah, they want to sort of compensate for one of those big disadvantages. Yeah, it's hard to charge them at fixed charging stations. It takes too long, and the batteries available there are not fully charged, as I've said. And the entire 1.6-kilometer road acts like a wireless charger as power is transferred from copper coils beneath the road surface to 3 receivers installed under the bus. So, yes, indeed, as I said, it's sort of like those charging stations for phones in which you place your phone simply next to it, and it kind of gets the power through the air. So, in the ground, we've got these copper coils. Copper, of course, is a kind of metal. It's usually red in color. Coins are often made from copper, and a coil is something that just kind of wraps around itself in many circles. So, they're under the road surface, and they will sort of connect through the air to these receivers under the buses. And we're talking about the power being transferred. You could also pronounce this verb as transfer, but most people say transfer or transfer as a verb as well. Transfer as a noun and transfer as a verb, at least in American English, we tend to say them the same way. So yes, it's transferred from one place to another. It goes from one place to another.
So it sounds like it's more convenient. This means the bus can be charged without it having to stop or even slow down. What's more, test runs are when they try out a new product before releasing it to the market or letting a lot of people buy something. They'll have test runs to see if something's safe, perhaps, or if something truly works. Sometimes people invent things and then they'll have these test runs or test trials and they don't go so well. And so they have to go back and make some changes. So
they have to go back to the drawing board.
That's right. That's the phrase we use. Oh, we're going back to the drawing board. It's back to the drawing board for us, which just means you're going back and you're changing your blueprint, you're changing your plans, and hopefully the next version will be better. We know with some of the inventions, at least that we studied about in history, like Alexander Graham Bell with a phone, he didn't get it right the first time. Electricity, the invention of electricity had some problems. So with everything that's new, especially this kind of technology, we'll have some bumps along the way, which just means some challenges, some hard times that you have to get through.
Right, but I guess the good news here, it says, what's more, test runs have shown that neither the driver nor the passengers suffer any ill effects from the process. So if you're riding on that bus, you're not going to become radioactive or something like that because the bus is charging through the air, at least according to research up to now. Now, moving on to the next paragraph here, it says, a road utilizing similar technology, or a road using similar technology, has also been built in Italy, but owners of electric cars are unlikely to encounter such convenient charging options everywhere. So they are kind of using this in Italy as well. But if you drive an electric car there, well, you may not encounter such convenient charging. Well, I guess you can encounter that in Italy, but in different places, you won't have that advantage. You'll still have to charge it in the conventional sense. So here we've got the verb to encounter, which means to find something or to come across it. So indeed, you may have been walking around the city and you encountered a very special restaurant and you're going to tell your friends about it, and next time you're all going to go there for a meal.
Maybe. It would be fun to go to Italy regardless. They have some beautiful scenery and some great food. So, yeah, if you're an owner of an electric car, you're unlikely to encounter or run into such convenient charging options everywhere. It depends on where you are in the world. Now, the technology is prohibitively expensive, meaning really, really expensive. If something's prohibited, you guys know what that means. It means it's restricted or banned. If it's prohibitively expensive, it means it's so expensive. It's going to stop people from being able to actually use this kind of technology. So, and it would not, it says, be viable on large roads. We kind of need them on the large roads, though, Tom, such as highways. Yeah, or freeways. If you're in America, some of the roads are completely free with no tolls. We call those freeways. They're just the same as a highway, but they're free. Now, instead, the companies are hoping to add it to roads where people drive along fixed routes for a consistent distance, like at airports or harbors. Now, if something's viable, it's something that something works in whatever you're trying to get it to do. So it's capable of working successfully. It's feasible. It's something that's possible.
Right, so you're not going to see this everywhere. Don't rush out and buy an electric car and expect to be able to charge it driving on any road anywhere. Right now, that technology is just too expensive for countries to afford to install. It's prohibitively expensive, and it's not going to be viable on large roads like highways or freeways or interstate highways or whatever. And again, they're thinking of it more in terms of small-scale operations, like adding it to roads where people drive along fixed routes for a consistent distance, such as at airports or harbors. So, yeah, you might see it next to the airport or by a harbor because cars drive along these fixed routes back and forth, and it's for a distance which never really changes. It doesn't get too long or too short. It's pretty consistent, and that's what consistent means. If you tell people that you're good in basketball and later you're pretty terrible when you play a game, then people are going to say, oh, you're not consistent. You didn't do what you said you were going to do. If you're consistent, you act the same every way, or something behaves the same way in all different situations over time.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens here. Again, we're seeing this phrase fixed routes, fixed plans, fixed whatever. We use fixed as an adjective just to mean it's securely fastened in a position, it won't move, or it's remaining in the same place and won't be moving to another place. So you can count on it always being there. Fixed routes. Now, if you drive to work every morning, you could consider that a fixed route for yourself if you always take the roads. When I drove to work, I would always take the same roads. So I didn't have to think. I could just listen to my music and sing in the car. But yeah, they're hoping maybe it will be more beneficial for some of these fixed routes. Yeah, but for the long drives, if you're planning on driving across a state, a country, a county, it's a little bit difficult. Not a little bit, it's a lot difficult with an electric car.
Right, so of course electric cars are here to stay, it seems, so hopefully they'll be able to figure out some of these problems associated with keeping them charged and having enough energy to go long distances. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Let's turn things over now to our Chinese teacher. No, it's our all-English unit for this month. No Chinese teacher this month, so I guess you'll have to rely on your own wits to understand what we just talked about, and that's the end of our program. From all of us here at English Digest, my name is Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.